Hey friends, welcome back to Creating Success in the Mess. We're your hosts, Corey and Whitney.
In this show, we help creative entrepreneurs find success in business by living into their highest potential and calling in life. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode. So, a question that I get asked all the time, I don't know about you, for me, everybody always wants to know, how did you get into business? Like, how did you even know what kind of business or how to start a business? Because you didn't come from a family of business owners. And, you know, I thought about it. For me, it kind of just happened. And honestly, I had a business before I knew I had a business. So back in the day, we were in college. That's actually how we met.
Yeah.
Working together.
At Steinmart. In the shoe department.
Right.
Well, I didn't work shoes. I worked linens.
So our relationship started working together.
Yeah.
And I guess it never has stopped since. But we worked a job and we went to college. Because that's what you're supposed to do, right?
That's what they told us.
Right. So you went to college for what?
Well, of course. I went to college to become a meteorologist, but that's not what I did.
So when you set out to go to college, you were going to do something than what you actually ended up majoring in?
Yeah, I want to be a weatherman. Instead, I became a teacher.
Oh.
And I didn't even teach science.
Yeah, you ended up teaching social studies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, social studies is anything, honestly.
Right. When I went to college, I went for psychology, and I ended up with substance abuse counseling. Kind of the same field, just a little bit different.
Right. But you didn't ever practice.
I didn't. I graduated. I had the degree.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could do it if I wanted. But I guess I immediately came out of college knowing those hours and that pay kind of just don't seem great.
See, that's where you and I kind of differed.
Yeah.
We were the same as in, like, we were told to go there. That's what you're supposed to do.
And we were the first of our family to get degrees.
First college graduates.
Kudos to us.
I mean,
we spent a lot of money.
We were the first ones to go, actually. It was like not even...
No. My mom went. She got down to the end and never actually graduated.
Yeah. All I had to do was just enroll. I actually didn't have to even show up to class.
Yeah, so
and I would have done more.
You did more than anybody in your family by just enrolling and going. I had to go all the way to the finish line and cross it. Because they all stopped short.
Right.
So we got our degrees and we did what the world told us to do.
Right.
We graduated and I was already like, there's something more here.
Oh, I remember too.
And we were broke because college is expensive.
Everyone's broke in college.
Well, I mean, coming out of college, we were broke.
Yeah, of course. We were broke for a while coming out of college.
So we come out of college and we're broke and we're newlyweds and we need to, like, start decorating a house and acting like normal adult human beings. Only we're broke because we just spent all this money to go to college and we don't have a career that's paying us great money.
Right.
And so my idea was, I thought we needed an armoire in our living room. And I needed it to be painted black. And so, what do? We went down to Main Street, like, small town, and bought an armoire.
What was it, like Bob's Bargains, like used furniture or something?
Yeah, but it wasn't a bargain.
No, it wasn't. I spent $200 on a used particle board armoire.
We didn't know better. We had no idea. We just knew that was cheaper.
It looked nice.
It was cheaper than anything we could buy.
Yeah.
And I was determined we were going to paint this armoire black for our modern.
Yeah, but we spent 4 months sanding it.
We sanded the thing all the way down. And then we used spray primer cans to spray paint.
My hand is literally cramping right now as we think about having to hold those little nozzles.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
But at the time, I was just determined to make our, like, house look nice.
Yeah.
On our college budget.
It did look nice.
It did look nice.
It was a nice looking piece.
Yeah.
It was big, and at the time, like, we were so proud of it.
We were.
I remember, like, my mom came over and was like, Mom, look at this. Look at it. Isn't it beautiful?
Right. And, you know, that was the start of what was our business.
We
And
still have it. We still have the RMR. It's currently in our business right now.
Right.
Holding art supplies.
Correct.
And it's not even black, it's white. We repainted it again.
Right.
Because the third child came and we were like, paint the black RMR white and put it in her room.
Yeah. So at that point, like, that's how our business started, and we didn't realize it. At that time, in that period, we did not realize that was our business, or how to go into business, or what to do. It was just something that we, like, wanted to do. We were inspired to do. We, like, had a passion to do, and that's what we did.
Yeah.
And then, of course, 1 turned into 2, and 2 turned into 3, and then people were like, oh, do you sell this? Could you paint mine? And that's what we started doing. But at that point, still, it wasn't a business, right?
No, it wasn't. It was just for diapers. It's like, oh, yeah, I can do it because I'm looking at the bank account and I'm over here like, daycare is expensive. 3 kids, yeah, that's a lot. Diapers, formula, lot.
Fast forward past our, like, broke college days trying to, like, start a house. We have 3 children. And they were 3. We had 3 kids under 3 years old.
Yeah, because the minute we started actually having some money, we were like, oh, kids.
Yeah.
We're still broke.
This is the next normal step. Yeah, then we had 3, under 3, and that's a lot of diapers and a lot of daycare. Thankfully, our oldest was able to get out of the diapers faster than the others, but basically our furniture days turned into diaper money.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was.
Right.
And then it was kind of a little bit, it started going beyond that. We started doing classes, too.
Right.
Teaching people how.
At that point, I mean, when it was paying for our diapers, it was a business, but we still had no clue.
Right.
We still, like...
We never viewed it as a business. It was just, like, people on a Facebook marketplace that, like, could do some furniture.
Right.
Like, it wasn't labeled. It wasn't, like, like an entity or anything. It was just like, look, like, I need diapers. You need your furniture painted. I paint your furniture. You give me money for diapers.
Right.
And people were, like, literally chill about that. They were just like, okay, yeah, that's fine.
And so by this point, like, I had not, thought, well, actually I had thought, I think way back in the day when we were in college, I suggested maybe we could make this a full-time business.
Yeah, but I wasn't ready for that.
No, you were still, like, ready to go be a
teacher and track coach, basketball coach. Like, I was, that was my dream at the time.
And, like, you're supposed to go to college, you're supposed to get a career, you're supposed to get a job, you're supposed to work your job. And so, like, thinking that you're going to make your furniture a business is kind of not so realistic, right? Like, how many times were, like, we told, well, that's your hobby, but what do you do for your job?
Right.
And that just naturally was, like, ingraining in me. Yeah, like, I've always been taught in school and growing up that I need to have a career, and that's just a hobby. So, you were still teaching, and I went into running an art studio, painting on canvas. And we were still doing furniture on the side.
Right.
And then, in the art studio, people were like, wait a minute, you paint furniture? Why aren't you teaching how to do that here?
Right.
And I was still like, I don't know.
Well, we started selling a paint brand, too.
Yeah, we started selling a paint brand that we used.
And so we were like, like, no one was buying the paint. And we were like, well, how are we going to sell this paint? And
I had convinced myself that I was going to try to use it on canvas.
Right.
And then, like, I could have my furniture paint for my furniture, and then I could incorporate this into my business. And it worked. I mean, you can paint it on both.
Right.
Yeah. And then people were like, what is this? Candles? Like,
oh my gosh, yeah. They did. They tried to, like, screw off the lid to, like, smell it, and then they realized the lid didn't come off. No, it's paint.
Right. So, I'm running this art studio. You're teaching high school.
Yeah.
And
we had 3 kids.
We still are painting furniture. And people were like, why aren't you teaching how to paint furniture? And I was like, I don't know. I'm not sure. And so then we finally decided, okay, we're gonna put on like a 101 class, and we're gonna like teach people how the basics of painting furniture, because they would ask us if we would paint theirs, and I was like, taking on commissions and doing other people's stuff when you're not even recognizing it as a business is a lot. And so my resistance was like, I can teach you how to do your own. You want me to teach you how to do your own? Because I'm already teaching people how to paint their own canvases. I can teach you how to do your own, but I don't think I can do it for you, because like I wasn't even recognizing it as like a business at that point.
We just thought it was like a side stream of revenue.
Our hobby.
Yeah.
Couldn't be a business. It's just your hobby.
Right.
And so then we started teaching the classes, and we found that we knew a lot.
Yeah. Well, and for me too, like I'm always like, I like to sell. And so like after the classes, people would buy so much of the product that I was like, oh my gosh, like look at all the sales that we're making because of the classes, which in itself were a sell. And so that just fired like, okay, we're going to do it like twice a month.
Right.
And then, of course, people, once they kind of start doing some furniture, they come back and they keep buying more of it. And so that was kind of like the driving force of it, was the classes were kind of bringing it in. So we kind of started seeing it more as a business, but we didn't see it what it became.
Right.
Where we are now.
Right. So then after we started teaching it and we started like really gaining some confidence, what we were discovering was people were like, can you just paint my furniture? I'll hire you and pay you to teach my furniture. And at this point, like I had already been teaching how to paint on canvas, which can be like hard, because it is a skill that you have to kind of develop and harness and, like grow with it. And a lot of times like it looks easier than it is sometimes. And it can be hard. And so we were like, yeah, we can start painting your furniture too. And we started doing that, and that's when we were like, you know what, this is an actual business. And when you stopped and you looked at the dollar amount, like there was real potential there. Right. And so at that point it changed in our mind, and it was like, yeah, this is a business. And that's when we shifted and made it a business at that point. And then from there, I mean, it just, once we owned that it was a business and we started like going with it, it just started going naturally. And it became a 6-figure business in its first year, all because like we accepted it and we acknowledged and owned what it was. Right. And allowed what it was to happen. Right. Which is the exact same thing that happened with the other businesses. Right. So when people ask us, how did you know how to start a business? How did you know what business to start? How did you know, like, what to do? We didn't. No. And a lot of times throughout it, we just kind of resisted acknowledging the gift and the talent that we had at, all costs. And we got kind of sidetracked by the words of the world. That's a hobby. That's not a business. You need to have a real career. You need to do, the real thing. I think that's what kind of makes it so difficult sometimes, is because you can kind of feel like you have this alignment by spirit. Because I think when you passionately have something, like when we did furniture, like we had passion with it. Like we really enjoyed doing it. People would be like, oh, we're going to Netflix and chill. And we're like, we're going to go in the garage and paint some furniture, because that's like our Netflix and chill. We really enjoyed doing that. And so when you take that alignment and like be spirit led and start finding ways to make that as a source of income, you can really go up very high. But when you also hear the world saying that's not being responsible, that's not realistic. Oh, you can't leave your full-time job. You have to have medical care. Like, you can't do that. You have to be responsible. Oh, you have 3 kids. You can't just drop what you're doing and completely restart right now. That would have been great in your early 20s, but, you're in your 30s now, and you just can't do those things, anymore. You need to be responsible. And it's almost like, it's bad enough to have fear that can kind of stop you from doing great things. But then to have people who are in your environment that can kind of suck you and literally like, it's not that they want to be a discouragement. It's like they just don't understand. Right. It's like, my calling isn't yours, and
and so you have to like be able to find a way to like kind of like my parents always said he's like, oh, you're just letting one thing in the ear and out the other. And I think sometimes you kind of have to allow that sometimes. It's kind of like, okay, so they said this. Well, I need to, okay, how does that align with what I hear God calling me to go to? Right. How does that align with what I've read or what I know that is true? And then kind of go from there. Right. Because I was in a career. And I was like, I got to a point, I was like, yeah, I think I'm done. I think I'm done with the classroom. Like, let's grow this. So there's a little bit of a fire of why we got it to six figures. Right. But had we not gotten to the point to see the potential that, hey, this is a real business. Mm-hmm. This is a real deal. I can't believe people actually say it's only a hobby. Right. I can't believe that. Right. It's not just a hobby.
No, it's not.
It is what you want it to be.
It is 100% what you want it to be. Regardless of if it's furniture or it's baking or it's sewing or woodworking or, whatever. Dog walking. Like, whatever it is that you do. Toffee making. I mean, you have something that you do that you enjoy, that you love, that people would pay you for. Right. And usually where we stop is in our mind and in our thoughts because of, like you were talking about, fear of our, within ourselves and then the things that the world says around us. So I think you're right. I think in one ear and out the other, as a mom, I don't want to say this, but in one ear and out the other is definitely like a good thing at this point, but shh, don't tell my kids.
And I think a lot of times if you have an idea or you already have a business, it's the minute you 110% believe what it is, you're willing to do things that make it become successful. Right. Because at that you're invested. Your investment level is different. Like when you're kind of like, when I was like, oh, I'm a teacher, I also flip furniture.
Right. That's who you were identifying and aligning as. Yeah.
And now, you can say, oh, I'm a business owner. Right. And I refinish furniture. Right. And at that point, it's, what you identify yourself with is essentially how you're going to set up your goals. Mm-hmm. And it's also how you're going to set up your daily practice. Right. Of, okay, in this day, I'm going to complete blank. Right. And if it aligns with who you say you are and who you believe, God says you are, then you're doing right.
Right. So how we knew we had a business, we didn't know until we knew. So that's the key. That's the goal right there.
Right. It's like the seed that gets dropped in the ground you never knew about, and all of a sudden it just springs up and becomes this tall tree. Right. It's like, I didn't know that there was a tree that was coming.
Right. When do you recognize it? When do you acknowledge it? When do you own it? When do you become it? Yeah. Like, that's when. And that's how, and that's what. It's really as easy as that. And, of course, like we said, not getting stuck in the way of the world and thinking the things that the people are saying around us and owning and knowing our own truth. Mm-hmm. That's how we, really start creating success in the mess, because the mess is what's around us and what we're hearing and what, the success is within us. Right.
So if you got something today that really helped you, kind of gave you a little bit of oomph in your passion, absolutely would love if you would subscribe to us. And also if you could leave us a review, because other people need to hear about this as well. Thank you for watching.
Thanks for joining us today, and we will see you back here again next time. Well, hey, creative friends, we hope you enjoyed today's episode and you go take action in your business.
If you really enjoyed this episode, we hope that you definitely subscribe to us, and if you know some creative friends out there, go ahead and share to them. For next time, we'll be here, same time, same place.